Hey guys, today we're going to do a quick video on how to build Lipsync into your model. We're going to just be doing the 3/4 view today, and if you wanted to do all the views, all you have to do is copy what we do today and redraw it on a different angle for each of the views. I've also linked some reference in a folder for, just 1 second here, for different lip syncs and different approaches to doing it. So just some ideas on what most shapes seem to work pretty well, and some notes from the Animation Survival Kit and some references for how other people do it, because there's a lot of different ways to do it and a lot of different ways you can approach most shapes. You just want to make sure that it has some kind of flow to it, that it looks smooth whenever you transition through each mouse shape. So let's get to it. So we're going to be doing the 3/4 view. So I'm going to start by taking the 3/4 view here and dragging it over to the beginning of the timeline. Right now in this version we don't need the model sheet since we're not building the rest of the views right now. And I will be getting back to that time lapse of me finishing this build at some point. Instead I'd break it up today and give you something else to see. So we're going to go right in here and select this here at frame 107 and drag it over the frame 1 since we're going to want the 3/4 view. And let's do the same thing with the inside of the head. I'm just setting this up as if we were going to animate today. So if you're just working on the build and you want to leave that as the front view there, you can leave it as a front view. It doesn't really matter. The only reason why I'm changing frame 1 like this, okay, so let's just make sure everything worked out. There's another timeline inside the hair. The only reason I'm doing this is so I can drag her into the middle of the stage without it looking weird that on the outside of this. Okay, so see some things are acting a little funny here. So we need to set this to frame 1 since we just moved those frames on the inside of the head too. And set this one to frame 1. And now it should go from 3/4 to front view 3/4. Like that. Let's just find out why the hair is doing weird things. I think it needs to be set to frame 1. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay. So that's how I'd set it up if you were going to use the 3/4 view to animate something. And that was just for convenience of moving her into the center of the stage so you don't have to like look at her on the side there. And we're just going to zoom in on this, or alternately, if you want, you can just enlarge this one since we're just playing around with the build today. It might make it a little easier for you to redraw things this way if you do it this way. Okay. So if we go in here, just going to keep going into the head until we get into the mouse symbol. And you can see here that her front view mouse start here at the 1 second mark. We're going to leave it here. I've already roughed in some like lip sync for some roughs, what I think will work as keys. You can do your own research and reference whatever you want for how you'd like to do your own lip sync. Especially if you're using a different character, you might want to make it suit the character more. And all I'm going to do is just put this, so if you take a look, we got like an A shape, an in-between, a TH, and then we have the in-betweens going into an O. Oops, let me just change that so you can see it better. And then an F, a TH, and an F, an L, and then a TH. So I can put some keyframes in here and leave some notes for what each one was intended to be, just in case you're not too familiar with this. So this is just a closed, or you'd use that as an M, like a kind of thing. I left some blank keyframes here because we're going to in between into this one here. And this would be the A shape, or that's how I'd use it. And I'm also just going to make this a little bigger so you can see the notes. That's just an in-between. that would be a TH. And some in-betweens into an O. And you don't always have to use this O as like an O. This is more like a ooh kind of shape. But if you're just gonna say, like, sometimes you can get away with using this kind of shape and then going into the O, or vice versa. It depends on what the character's saying and that kind of thing. But I can get into that kind of stuff whenever we talk about actually lip syncing some dialogue, and I'll talk about that. So this is a, so this one would be like an F or a B. And that one would be like an L, a TH. Not all shows use a TH like this with the teeth sticking out. I meant like with the tongue sticking out. It depends on the show style. Some shows I've worked on just have like a closed teeth kind of shape for your TH and your mouth. Oh, right. So if this isn't the TH, this would be like a D, all your consonants, pretty much. Anything like that would be kind of like this. Oh, it'd be like a D and R. Those are all very common consonants used like that. And there's usually an E shape, which I forgot to draw. So you might start your E shape out smaller, kind of similar to this here, and then just make it a little bit wider. And then in between it into this one here. But you still wouldn't really want, like, say this one and this one. You'd want to, like, I'm going to alter this. You don't want them to be exactly the same. So let's just quickly change this. Or at least I probably wouldn't use exactly the same one. Just so then if we have, like, say this shape and this shape are both used and they're kind of close together in the same lip sync, you don't have it like looking weird going in between them. So you just kind of want to make sure everything flows really well in between the shapes. Okay, so then we're gonna in between from here to here. If you notice with this, where the teeth are here, like the upper teeth, they're gonna come down to about, oops, they come down to about here. This is not working very well, but you see they come down to here. And I'll just try another on another layer. Kind of around there. They're not going to change. Even if it looks like I sketched them out kind of differently, they should stay in the same spot. They're not going to move up and down, because like if you pay attention to how your teeth are in your skull, they're like anchored right into your skull. Your lower jaw will move and your lower teeth will move up and down, but the character's top teeth are going to stay anchored in their mouth. And the tongue, of course, can move with the jaw. So if you see how this, let me just flip through these keys here. So you see the tongue is just gonna go and move with the jaw and the lower teeth there. Just make sure it looks kind of like it makes sense. And like with the ooh, if it comes forward, for just the sake of it looking nice, you just have the tongue come forward with it. But like, if you're doing something different than what I'm doing, you don't necessarily need the tongue on this frame here if you don't want it. It's kind of up to you. It's a lot of different ways to do this. So I have a sketch to start out with. This is not completely a model. My teeth are slightly different shaped. But at this point too, if you're thinking, oh, these teeth are more appealing, I like the shape of them, they fit together better than what I had done, you can also still feel free to change the model at this point. I mean, we're still building it. And I mean, the main thing would be if you change the model now, like as you can see, this A shape is not the same as the one I put in the build. If you change it now, we can always just update everything as we go. because I'll be taking this Lipsync, that we have here, and then I'll be putting it over here as a reference later on, like not in this video, but at another time, I'll put it over here as a reference. Just like copy it over, like this, and then we're just reference this when we go to do the profile view, and we go, oh look, the mouth is open this far on the A shape, it's closed this far on the D shape. You can't, of course, you can't just like cut off the side and make it into the profile Lipsync. It doesn't work that well. You have to redraw it, but it's a good reference to have for how far the jaw opens and what kind of mouth shapes you have, and you have to kind of imagine what will this mouth shape look like if you're looking from the profile instead. And if you are doing Lipsync or making mouth shapes, it does help if you have a mirror. I don't have one on hand, but it's like a little makeup mirror, and you can just hold it up. Or if you have something like this, just a little locker mirror, something cheap like that, you can just hold it up and get a look at your mouth and sound things out and be like, okay, what does it look like when I do a tss sound, or you know, something like that, or ooh, or ow, and see how your mouth actually moves as a reference to for how to do it. Of course, it's not super cartoony on your own face, but it will give you an idea, like, oh, the E shape is wider than the A, that kind of thing. So for cleaning this up, I'm going to use what I already have as a basis. I'm going to start with the A since it's so close to what I already have here as the default. I'm going to hide the mask for now, we don't need that. And we're just going to match up my symbols as close as I can get them to what I have here in the sketch. And then if we want, we can also change things around too. So I'm just going to make a couple of tweaks and see how I want to set this up in the long run. You can see I just had some teeth knocks there to like indicate the separation of his teeth. So I'm just going to quickly put this into the symbol while we're working on this. And if you end up confused about anything, go ahead and just ask me questions in the comments and I should get back to you. I may not get back to you like, you know, the same day, but I will get back to you. I'm sorry about missing out a couple of videos. My Cintiq pen died last week and I couldn't actually use the tablet. And aside from that, I just started a new contract, so I've been really busy with work lately. But maybe I'll put out a couple of short videos at least, so then we can keep, you know, working on this, which is kind of the fun thing on the side to do, aside from, you know, work that's paying the bills. Okay, so we're gonna use this mouth, or at least I will be using this mouth. I'm just gonna move the tongue around until it matched up, and I'm just gonna grab, let's see here, we can turn those off for a minute. So we want the line in that fill. I'm just gonna, I'm missing something, I think it's in the mask. So select all, drag this over. If anyone is not familiar too, I use a lot of keyboard shortcuts that are set up on my own computer. So if you do see me anything like where I converted stuff to fills by just hitting a button, that's in these menus here in the modify menu. Modify shape, convert lines to fill. So that kind of thing. Let me know if I lose you on anything like that. So redo this. I'm going to copy this, bring it up to the line layer, delete the old one and paste it in place, so everything should match up now. Okay, the mask is now not correct, so what we're gonna do to make a new mask is just gonna open this. I meant like make this one the only viewable thing. Select all this, go to modify shape, convert lines to fills, so that will convert these to fill, and then that way, actually no, we're doing this for a mask. Sometimes it's better to convert lines to fills first, so you get like a very precise line. But I think for this one, we're just gonna wanna go and select this color here, and just paste it into your mask layer anyway. The reason why I'm doing this is if we go too precise, we might end up with a gap in between this color fill and that line, and we don't want that. We also got an outline around the top, so we don't have to worry about things going past that outline. So that looks a bit better. We got a mouth now. I'm going to do the M shape next. And so we can just delete all this, since this will just be a line that we're redrawing. Just grab the line tool and use the eyedropper to select all that information about the size and stuff off of that other line. We're just gonna pull this out here, select all that. I'm gonna make sure that there's no roundness on the ends of this, because I'm gonna try to pull those out into a shape. So convert lines to fills again. Then you can just kind of fiddle around with how you want to go about finishing up this line to make it look kind of nice. If you need to, you can always go up here to this tool and adjust how like straight and smooth the lines are. Something like that might work. Okay. That's A. Let's do closed teeth, because we need to make the lower teeth anyway, and I'll show you how to do that. You can kind of hop around from shape to shape. It doesn't really matter what order you clean this up in. The most important thing is, like, I'm going to do the E first and make sure that it matches up with how I did the A. So then we should be able to tween the in-betweens and save you a little bit of time. So it's always nice when you can do that. So for here we are. Let's just leave the outline for now and turn everything else off to make this a little more simple. I'm just selecting these lines and kind of roughly placing them where we need them, and straighten them out if you can. You can always just like chop some of them off and then go and try to straighten it again. It's nice using lines for, like, you can draw this by hand with like a rough line if you wanted to do something. Just a second. If you wanted to do a rough line like this to clean everything up. Oh, and my smoothing's way up too high. But like, if your character style was like you have rough lines for all your outlines, you can do it all by hand too. I kind of like the ones I built for myself for my own personal use. I did them with lines on purpose so I could see if I could shape tween some things and just save me time from having to hand draw everything. But that's kind of a personal preference too. So I'm leaving the top exactly the same as where this A shape was, because that isn't really supposed to move. We're just doing the bottom. You don't need to see the mask. Let's see the teeth. See, these teeth are just gonna do that and stay exactly the same. Let's make some lower teeth. I'm just just gonna go into the teeth layer and copy all that. We're gonna make the lower teeth here. Just paste like Control V in this case, since we don't want to paste it in place because Flash will put it somewhere weird, because I just took it from inside of a symbol to outside of a symbol. So I just went and hit Control V instead of Control Shift V. Okay, and we're gonna go for F8. Go Mia. Oops. Sorry about the awkward typing. It's kind of hard to reach my keyboard from here with both hands. So just name the teeth layer. Okay, and this is all we have in there right now. I just threw this in here for reference to make sure that it matches with the other set of teeth, so we don't have something that has like different line weights or looks weird or something. I'm matching the pivot point up to where I kind of want it. It doesn't matter where this is just reference anyway. Okay, so just drawing some teeth. Oh, and let's see. Is there a sketch where I kind of wanted to see how I was planning to make the rest of it look for this part of it. Let's make sure it matches up for later. And I don't think I'm gonna put those little separation marks on this yet. I'm not convinced I really want them. Just gonna move this up a little. Let's make some adjustments. This frame, I don't want to see too much of it, I don't think. I think I just want it hidden behind the other set of teeth. Then just making sure it works with these other things. Okay, on the A, you're not going to see it. So on this frame, we're just going to pull this out of the way. Hopefully in a sensible area, because we might see it in these frames here. And you might want it between these. And I'm just gonna put this over here so we have something to build from later. There we go. We can always change this later once again if we need to. So we can grab the line, copy this, just adjust this one here, get rid of that one. And then we're just gonna grab this, paste it, we're gonna select that, copy and paste it in place on the mask layer. And make sure this all matches out. There we go. So now we have some teeth. I think this is a little crooked. Just wanted to see if I could smooth it out a bit. If you do something like that, just remember, copy it and paste it into the map inside layer again, so make sure they're the same. So now the map is opened and it closes. And I mean, some of these mouth shapes are kind of fancy, where we have a lot of in-betweens. You don't always get that many on a show. the main important ones are literally the open, the close, and the M shape. Like, just think Muppets or something really simple like that. Like, all you have on like with the Muppets is open and close, but they still really can convey like personality and like acting and stuff like that, even with something that simple. And if you ever have trouble when you're trying to lip sync and you're working on a dialogue, I find the easiest way to try to get over whatever's kind of difficult, especially if, like, a character's talking really fast, is try to fill in like the most open shapes, like the A's, and the most closed shapes, like your consonants, like D, S, those kind of sounds, and then work your way back from there, and that will usually make it a little more simple. But like I said, I'll do a video just on working on lip sync once we have lip sync built into our build. But I don't think it will be tonight because it's already past midnight tonight. Okay, so there's some outline. We're just gonna grab some stuff from that frame to work with. Actually, we only need the tongue and teeth right now. We don't need the lower one. Just shove the tongue in there. And the teeth, like the upper teeth, are still staying in the same spot. And you've just seen me almost accidentally move them too. Sometimes you get a little carried away. So it just pastes a line from up here to down here, like I copied and pasted it. Just gonna fill it in. Oh, and I filled it in on the correct layer. That's good. And now we need to put this on a mask there. And there's that in between into the O shape. Let's do the other O. Okay, and now the F. Is actually, let's leave the F to later. I think it's, if I remember correctly. I haven't actually had to build one of these in a while, but I think what we can do is just start by grabbing all this and pull it over to the F side. So like I said, the upper part of the mouth is going to stay the same. So there's your teeth. We're going to move these. And let's just cut this off. I think I'll just turn some of this off so we just see the outline. Or we're only going to work in the outline layer right now. And we will need to see the rough. So I'm just going to put some straight lines in. Might So if you're going, I might bring this line down a little bit. Seems like your upper lip would rise up a little bit whenever you go to make an A shape, but it kind of comes down slightly whenever you're making F shapes, I think. And like I said, there's a million ways to do different lip syncs. So I might be doing it differently, but hopefully that's not wrong. Turn off the teeth now, and I'm gonna just draw a line in here for now. Oops, go back to grab the teeth color. I'm just gonna grab this, drag it to the mask layer. Gonna fill something in on that mask layer to make sure the teeth show up. And we don't really need the outlines. We're just gonna work on this over here. Now we can just select all this, go to modify shape, convert lines to fills, and have it kind of stop working on us because Flash gets kind of weird sometimes. So you're just gonna grab a couple of the lines for now and do that again. It probably was just a little bit too much for Flash to handle at once. That's what it seems to be like sometimes. There. Okay, once you have that done, let's just see how it looks. I think for this one, I mean, we could just take this fill color here, go to the line layer and paste it in. It just looks weird that you can see those little tiny bits of the teeth there. Kind of almost rather get rid of it personally. I mean, you can do what you want. You can also just take that out, and as long as it doesn't look like it's a mistake is all. I mean, the other option is, since that is all in the symbol, we can just go into this top teeth symbol and just make them a little bit taller so it doesn't look like it's an accident. Just all it's worried about is, like, how does it look over here? Be like that. Go from, there we go. So it doesn't disappear if you're going from those other shapes to this one, but it doesn't look too weird on this particular frame either. trying to get that line a little bit nicer. Okay. And I may be nitpicking. I have to keep in mind too, I'm looking at this at like 500%. So most times no one's probably going to even see that. Let's make the E shape. Oh, actually, let's do the TH since all we have to do is add the tongue. Okay, so turn on the ref. Look at what it looks like. And just draw it off and turn it into a symbol. It doesn't have to be the same symbol as the other tongue. Just because like they don't look anything alike, we just have to make sure the colors are right. Okay, I just converted that to fill. It's in the modify menu if you need to do it by hand. And I'm just tweaking it. And just grab the tongue's color. And fill that in. I'm going to select this layer, hit F8. I'm also aware I'm probably misspelling tongue differently every time. I seem to do that a lot, and I'm not gonna go look it up right now at the moment. So just delete the tongue out of this, like the other tongue, I mean down here. And now you have a TH shape. Oh, and just making sure there's a color behind it. Okay. Let's do the E shape. And then we're just finished filling in some of these other shapes, and I'll show you how to tween between the in-betweens from the E to the A. A lot of time when I'm redrawing, I'll just take something that's pretty close and then just see if I can get away with like transforming it to make it match, and then just redraw what I have to. It's like anything to save time. Not so much for this, since this is to show you how to do things, but I mean when I'm working day to day, just like trying to be as efficient as possible so you can get through your work in time. Okay, and that looks like it kind of matches up. Let's grab the inside color. Second, I don't know if that's connected right. Oops. I'll make sure. Oh, there's a little extra chunk of something there. Getting this as smooth as I can. And then I'm just going to select everything, copy this, paste it down here, and paste in the fill color. Then we're going to copy this, paste that into the mask. Oop, right there. Bring the lower jaw up some. Oh, but not that much. Just remembered that this is for the, it's like an E shape. The teeth aren't going to be touching. I might straighten out the bottom of this jaw a little bit. Make it a little bit less of a dramatic round shape. I just want to make it look like the teeth fit together. Okay, and now we need a tongue. Let's select this. We got the beginning of the E, goes up to the A, and to do this in between, we're just gonna grab this E shape and modify it. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab what we have, see what we can transform. Let's make it a little different. Let's bring the sides in so the corners of the mouth aren't out as far. And just make sure that you readjust the upper teeth so they stay the same. Okay, and what's she doing here? Teeth are coming down into a consonant. Let's keep this one in pretty close. On the E, we can open it up a little bit more. And we're going to close this lower part a little bit more in this one. I had just turned off the snapping over there. And sometimes if you're trying to be kind of precise, it will get in the way of you, because it will just snap to the closest, whatever it's set up for, like the closest part you're drawing, etc. Sometimes you just want to be able to do it freehand. Okay. So you just want to make sure that they look different, but it's not so close together that this is going to look weird. I think the lower teeth are too close now. And now we see these don't actually in between. Let's try, right, okay. I'm gonna right click and go classic tween. And in the properties panel, second, I have a plugin that I use for work. So I'm just taking a second here to remember how to do this in Flash so everyone who's following along can do this on their own. Because there's also the built-in Flash way of doing it. So we're just going to make sure that these will animate. We got an option to do shape tweens. Just wondering why this isn't working right. We can also do this by hand too. Create shape tween. Okay. It's because I was selecting everything at once. And we're just going to turn that off for now. And we're going to turn the mask off right now. Let's only go with the lines. Sometimes you can get a good starting place with this. And sometimes it's not really worth the pain in the butt it can be to do that. I'm just gonna steal this one. Start from here instead. Just gonna open them up a little. I realized that the way I was changing it, it just wasn't gonna in between these. So I think I'm just gonna make this one. Wait, switch this up. Oops. Make this one smaller, this one bigger. You can also do what you want if you want to do something different. I might go back to the way my sketch was. I think I'm just going to go back on that. Here's hoping this works out okay. So this looks like it matches up now. It was me pulling this out wider, or like making it more narrow, that wasn't working, because you want the corners of the map to kind of match up between these ones. Okay, now we can quickly just finish setting this up. I think this is working there. Excuse me. I think it was just working there green there. Oops, at least it didn't hurt anything. Okay. Let's drag this line down, fill it in, copy this, and then stick it back on that mask layer. There's a lot of repetition when you're building things. I apologize if this is getting a little boring to watch. Open this up. Do the tongue in there. There, we got a symbol. Or we got another frame. Okay. This one's just going to be a redraw. And between here and here, you can tween it if the tweens work. If not, we're just going to have to draw it in by hand. See how this goes. And we might be able to troubleshoot what could be going wrong with the tweens if it doesn't work. So you see where we're getting this extra stuff over here. What likely is causing it, if we grab this tool over here, and that's just buried underneath the pen tool here. So you just go down here to grab it. We're going to check to see if it has more than one pivot point in the corner of her mouth. Or not pivot point, more than one anchor point. So this one seems to have one. Or maybe it had two before. I think I clicked it with my thing. So check to see if there's two there. And the other thing to check with that is just like how many she has around that part of her face. Because it might be one of these is tweening over here and it just doesn't know how to track those. So this one mouth has like, it only has 4 and this one has a whole bunch. So we're just gonna trim this down and then reshape it a little bit. just to make it a little more like the other one. And then we should be able to get this straightened out so Flash has a clue what we're doing. And you might need to pull some of these out and mess around with it to get straight lines. The other thing that might work is grab this, pull it over, and then just straighten. Just gonna pull this in to see if I can get a straight line out of it. Sometimes it's a little frustrating trying to fix it. Just gonna pull that out. Okay. Yeah, we should have just 4 lines now. And now it will tween correctly. So you can kind of use this to get your other shapes. You can click on this tween line here, go over the classic ease, put an ease out, and then select the timing you'd like. And that way you can have something that kind of eases the way you want, so you'd have more frames. So I'm just trying to make sure we're only looking at the right things. So that way it will like favor the end here where it opens, so you can make it open more slowly or quickly for where the spacing is. I'm just gonna put it on the first one there. And we can just go and hit F6 on this. Just pull these two. Oh, we're gonna remove the tween. Pull the 2 middle ones down here, and fill them in with the color. Okay, and this is also your mask. And then we need to put teeth in, and the tongue, and let's see if it works to tween these. And I'm gonna want to put the same kind of timing on this as I did the other one. I think I used quad on the other one, just so it looks like it's moving together. And if you don't like how that turned out, you can just tweak it by hand. I think I might want the teeth to still be visible in this frame. And I know this is like going up and then back down again, but it doesn't really matter, because when you lock it, you won't be able to see that it, I mean, well, if you have the mask on, you shouldn't be able to see that it's popping too badly. There, so now the mouth comes open to the A shape, and it has it in between where it closes. We just need to do this one frame now. Almost done. Okay, so upper teeth are gonna stay the same. Just lock that up. Now we can turn it off. Let's place that tongue too. That is not the tongue. Down another one. It's kind of close to what the sketch is. Okay, now we can turn all that off, and we're just going to draw out that outline. Don't forget to save your files too. Sometimes Flash crashes without any warning, and you don't want to lose all your work. So I will be doing another video just for like we can lip sync some dialogue together. And I know that there's the auto lip sync feature in 2019 like version of Flash, and I was wanting to go and just take a look at it even for myself because I haven't really used that before. But once I figure out how to use it, I'll make a video too if I think it's useful. There's some tools in Flash that just kind of like either aren't overly useful for animation or they just don't work the way that they should. So I guess it just depends on whether or not it will be like to your advantage to use it or if it will just take more time. But I will show you how to do lip sync the way you normally do it by hand. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Oops. Turning off the wrong things. Let's see here. There we go. Thinking about doing a short video too on how to make the eye blinks. So there's a few different theories on how to go about doing that and like just like what way you might animate it, or just even how to set it up in the character comp, since like I've worked on shows before where every other build had it set up a different way. So you know, just things that you can find out whether you like it one way or another. Oh, and we gotta put this in the mask. I almost forgot about that. There we go. And I'm just gonna guide this off. Wouldn't, like normally I just delete the stuff I'm not using. But I'm going to leave that in there just in case you want to take a look at what I had sketched out and how I cleaned it up or anything like that for how it works. So there's her mouth shapes. And this is just a happy mouse. Usually each show will have like a set of happy mouths that is like their default. And they have a set of frowny mouths where they're sad. Some will have even a third set of neutral or different kinds of expressions, or like if it's a show with a lot of yelling, they might have like some normal talking mouths and then have some like screaming mouths, and with like all the different shapes too. So you could potentially have a whole bunch of different ones. Oh, we forgot to do the L shape. Let's finish that real quick. So it's really up to what you want to do. How many mouth shapes do you want to build? What will you actually use? I'd probably just build them as I need them. I mean, like, if you're just doing your own personal animation. There's no need to exhaust yourself just making crazy builds that you may not actually need. Okay, so I brought this down a little bit smaller because you don't want those two shapes popping. You're going to want the L shape to be a little bit unique there. I'm going to copy this. Once again, bring it down here, fill in the color, copy the color, put it on the mask layer, and make sure all that works, and then we just gotta redraw the tongue. Let's see, that's in single frame. We could just do it inside this one. Doesn't really matter. And I said this would be a quick one. I think it's almost an hour now that I've been working on this. I guess that just goes to show most things in animation are not done quickly. Which is frustrating some days when you look at the screen, realize you've only done a 1 second shot and it took you all day. Just depends on what you're working on and how difficult it is. And I find builds to take forever to set up, but once you set them up, you just, keep using them all the time. It's just moving this over so that, oh, that's not where the pivot point is. My bad, it's down here. Not that it really matters since you're not tweening between this version of the tongue and the other versions. And then just make sure it's smooth as you want it. You don't have to be as picky as I am about, oh, that line is not perfect. A line that chances are no one's even gonna notice or see, especially if they're talking. So this probably won't stay on the screen for more than 2 frames at a time. So, okay, there's the tongue. Good enough. There, and then when you play it through, it should look like it more or less goes through all the shapes and it's nice and smooth and it flows from one shape to another. So when you click on random ones, it also doesn't have something where it like pops or looks like you're finding stuff looks weird. I think that one could be a little nicer. But I think we're just getting into nitpicking because I think it's slightly bent somewhere I wouldn't want it bent. And like I said before, if you change this one, just make sure you change the things that are meant to be exactly the same. Yeah, I don't like that line. It might have been better before, I don't know, or if it just noticed more flaws. Yeah, I think it was better before. Let's just leave that alone. I just realized that there's more bumps in it. Let's stop focusing at the size and let's just go back out here. So looks like that. And if you go out into the scene and you want to see how big she is in this file, like her original size, or I enlarged her, she's like this big, and let's put the view at 100%. Oh yeah, that's not frame 1. Another tip for frame picker is to keep it set to keyframe so it doesn't slow down your computer. So that's her at her like first one. I set it to play once just to test this out. I would never set mouthcomps to play once for any other reason. I just wanted to play it through really quick for you. So it kind of plays through smoothly. You can't see any weirdness with like differences in lines or anything. This, yeah, mouthcomps are always set to, single frame. Because whenever we go to animate it, we're probably end up using the frame picker here. So you can see here, like frame 25, 26, 27. So if I have an audio clip in here, which I think I threw an audio clip in for you guys to play around with if you want it. It's just a free to use one. So you go to import to stage, you track down where this audio clip is, which will be wherever you save it to. I'm gonna hit undo. I accidentally imported it on top of the mouthcomp. It's not what I meant to do. You should make a blank layer, like this will work. Just name it audio. I'm gonna go file, import to stage, or you can import it to library and go look for it. And here it is. I think I have the audio turned off on this. or we could be having technical problems. So you don't want an event, you want it set to stream. And I can hear that. I think I have my settings turned off on OBS so you can't actually hear what's going on my computer. So you can always give it a shot on your own lip syncing, but I will make a video specifically about that. But just as a setup for how to do it, we have this here. It's set to single frame. So I am hearing a TH sound right there. I'll just go 2 frames before that, find the TH shape, and then I'm hearing like this. So it's an I shape, which would be pretty similar to your A shape. So you can probably use an A depending on like the dialogue, how big they're going. And then I hear an S. This is, and I'd probably just use an E for the is, since you wouldn't be opening your mouth as much. Sorry about stopping. As I'm talking, I'm hearing the audio for this as I'm scrubbing. So if you're going, this is, your mouth opens more in the first one, or at least I think it does, and that might just be a little bit, a touch too strong. Delicious is the next bit. So she's saying delish. And if I'm lip syncing, usually I'm just making funny faces and sending it out as I'm going. And she's going into a really big A shape on delish. So you might go to like the biggest A and work your way down into the S, depending on how long they're holding that A sound for. S. So, and it's because it's like delicious. If that second one might sound kind of like an A, but if your mouth doesn't open that much, I just use an E shape. But they're holding the S, like delicious, for a little bit longer. So I just move that back a bit and stick an A in front of it. It's a bit of trial and error, just like play it back, see how it is, and then the S stops about here. And we'll just have her close her mouth there. So now she's saying, this is delicious. If it sounds like your lip sync's coming a little bit late, you can just move everything forward. What I kind of automatically do is if I'm hearing, that's like a sound, but I put each shape like 2 frames before you actually really hear that sound, just so it plays back correctly. So that's a very quick intro to lip sync. I will go over stuff later on about like how to work on problem solving and trying to tell different sounds apart and making sure your ups and downs are hitting the right spots and then in between them. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Feel free to subscribe if you'd like to watch more videos. There is that handy notification button if you want to make sure that you catch them. I always forget that's there on YouTube. And feel free to comment, ask questions, anything like that, and I will get back to you on that.